Nanu, Nanu.
Does she mean Morecambe in, DJ?
I did.
Hi there, and welcome to episode 63 of the ADHD Adults podcast. This is not going to be good for me. It's the something of our, as we proved last week, ultimately doomed to fail experiment of adding extra shite to your lives. As usual, I'm James Brown, the only man on Twitter to have a brown tick. Alex, that's you, I assume?
Yeah.
Yeah, and as usual, I'm joined by both the man who doesn't have a tick at all, but does have fleas on his big round head, Dr. Alex Connor, and the woman who ticks all the time, Mrs ADHD. Alex first, hi.
Is that it? Is that what you wrote in the script? Alex, who has a big round head. Like no analogy, no like beautifully painted.
I'm very, very tired, Al, and I didn't have time to Google things that are round.
Something that is round. A big round head.
That's why I normally.
You might as well just write "and the man who's a twat."
Well, that comes later in the script. Also, Sam, hi.
Oh yeah.
Okay, that was short and sweet.
What?
I've just noticed, but no, it was hi.
Say something.
But no, well, no. No, I mean, high's fine, but I don't know, a bit of banter, your usual chaos. But I have noticed 63 episodes in, no one has ever fucking asked me how I am.
Oh, you didn't ask me how I was. You just said
no.
hi.
I'm getting to that bit, but I do think that's interesting. That's not part of the opening.
I think I have asked you. I think I have asked
because we don't care.
Oh, it's the second one. It's definitely the second one. Alex, how are you? All right?
I'm excellent, thank you. Really happy. Just a reminder that we started the podcast for psychoeducational reasons, but people just ask for more personal reflections all the time and bonus content. And now we have an extra one because we have time for it, because I don't really have a job, because I don't have a job because I'm actually too interesting for people, I think. and James has more time because he had to stop doing lab science because, well, it doesn't matter why. Okay, he was just in the lab making those paper volcanoes every day. That was good, though. Good science, James. Don't let them hate you.
The joke's on you, Alex, because 7 months after leaving my university, I'm the third highest ranked researcher in my area. And that includes people that have still been researching for the 7 months since. So that just tells you how bad the place I was working at was.
That area is making paper school volcanoes.
It is. That area is making. It is. I mean, there are two people better at making paper volcanoes than me.
I've never made a paper volcano.
No, not that.
Well,
imagine commit to it.
I've obviously kept my skill from you, Sam. And how are you, Sam? Say some of it, remember?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I've been really low this week, but we'll talk about that. Low. I've actually been really lonely this week as well.
Yeah, ironically, because that was the
exactly. That's why I mentioned it. Actually, thought I'd segue in.
Well done.
How about you, James? How have you been?
Oh, yeah, terrible, awful. But still, we continue.
Let's move on.
So it's notable that you spent a lot of this week with me. I just feel I should add that after. You just described your terrible week.
A lot of this week we spent an hour with you.
Well, no, we didn't, did we? We travelled back with him. It was more than that. It felt like 3 weeks, to be honest, Sam. But actually, in a really bad week, that was the low point, Al. Spending time with you.
Thanks, man.
Anyway. So this Pebble Dash public toilet with no paper and a message saying fancy a boring time, call Alex on, scrawled on the walls of the podcast, is also a tragedy in 3 parts. We'll discuss how the week between 2 weeks between podcasts has been, I suppose, from our own ADHD perspective, and as people involved in the adult ADHD community. In the second part, we'll answer some questions from the community. So remember to send those questions in on the socials, which Sam does Instagram now because I'm shit at it, and Alex is still shit at Twitter, or on our Discord forum. It's now over 1,000, well over 1,000 members, so it's searchable. Even if you search on Discord for ADHD adults, you'll find it. And then the final part, we'll talk about this week's theme, why we chose it, and how we feel about it. So we'll start off with, how was your week? Alex, do you want to go first?
Well, I thought it was really good. I flew back into the UK to meet two of my dearest friends in the world who, well, one of them didn't remember, apparently. And bearing in mind, I only got back yesterday. I literally saw you yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
The week before was really good as well, because I was in the UK twice because I had to do some consultancy type business change. And my adult sons made me do shots in a bar, which is unhealthy.
Oh.
For the first time in 21 years, I don't regret fatherhood. Not bad. Lots of rewarding stuff. Sam, how was your week? This week or last one, Madam?
Well, apparently I can't remember it. I thought I could, but all I can remember is despair, loneliness, and feeling a bit suicidal. Sorry.
Yeah, well, that's a succinct description of your week, Sam. Well done. The podcast is probably going to be 10 minutes long if we carry on with.
Well, you told me to save it.
Yeah, some of it. Save some of it for the last part. Not all of it.
Just say nothing for 20 minutes and 1 minute.
I'm sorry. I can't comment. I can't comment in this section. I've been ordered to save it all for the end.
It's a very good question, but first I'd like to say that the working people are more interested, really, in how we deal with Brexit. James, just for the sake of completeness, not because we care in any way, but I guess, how was your week?
Hey, fucker. It's been exhaustion, mate. Obviously, I'm still helping to look after Robert from Kidderminster, who is not doing well. Let's just put it that way. And just to prepare people for that not doing well, there aren't good outcomes when you're as old as Dad is and in the condition he is. So providing care for him and staying there, and also traveling and doing these amazing tours, one of which you obviously hijacked. And trying to spend time with Sam. I actually got to a point where I wrote a list of my priorities. God, I'm going to get in trouble for this because I had to drop something, and I had to drop something, and I put Dad at the top, and then I put my job because I've got to keep my job because that pays for everything, and then I put the kind of the charity and the podcast, and then I put kind of coaching because I coach people, and then I put my visiting work for the university, and I forgot to put Sam on the list. I know.
No, you know what? I already know. That's mostly why I've been depressed this week.
But for me,
Sam on my list, James, for God's sake.
But for me, it was implicit that of course she's top or near of that list, and I had to make a really hard decision, which has killed me. It's killed me, Alex. I had to make a decision if something's got to go, because otherwise I am going to end up in a mental health crisis, and that meant that I've had to pause coaching, and I've had to tell the people I coach, and that has just imagine the self-loathing and the guilt and all that. People that you're helping, you've had to say, I can't help
imagine.
you at the minute.
I don't have to, do I, James? Because you literally contacted me in a crisis about it about 5 days ago.
Yes, and like the other crisis, your advice was no, carry on doing it, which is which is really helpful.
That's absolutely not what I said.
Well, it's kind of 30% what you said.
Wow.
Not even 5%. It was about the order in which you have to step down from it. Which maybe. I said right at the start that you have to step down from it. Fucking hell, honestly. Do you know why he only reads the bits that he wants to read? Because he feels so guilty that he tries to find a way to self-loathe.
It's not true. It's like one of the talks I cancelled. It's like one of the talks I cancelled, and the message was, no, I'd do the work.
Oh my God. Fucking hell. And you talk all the time about protecting yourself. Protect my husband now.
Anyway, getting back to it. Honestly, I'm genuinely worried about my mental health. My mum said to me on Thursday before I left to the talk in Bristol, she said, listen, I'm worried about you. You're going to burn out. And I said, listen, as long as I'm running at 100 miles an hour, as long as I keep moving, I'm okay. It's when I stop that it's going to go wrong. That's what happened when I had my last set of mental health crises when I worked at university. It was working for the first term, 7 days a week, not stopping. But then when it stopped and the adrenaline went and I was just left with nothing, I broke down. So I am a little bit worried about the future because when this situation with Dad resolves itself and I've got more time to just not do stuff. I don't know. So it's been a tough week. This is a happy, fun podcast, isn't it, this week, guys?
Well, it is a podcast on loneliness this week, so it's going to be a bit, apart from Alex, who's got the most wonderful life.
By the way, yeah, and it took Alex 15 minutes to walk
Alex
through his house from one part to the other because it's so big. What is Alex doing? You eating something?
Alex has to take the Liznax amphetamine every day because of his fucking wonderful life.
Anyway,
he was today or yesterday, no difference at all. No difference.
Yeah, I mean, anyone that's watched, not that I want to break the fourth wall, but anyone that's watched yesterday or listened to Mondays or is listening to this episode, I don't know if you can tell if she's a bit. Well, certainly if you're watching a more hyperactive or not, it is hard to tell actually because
I'm the same.
If I have to say anyway, once more time. Anyway. On to the next question. What stupid thing have you been doing instead of what you were supposed to be doing this week? Sam first.
Oh, me first. Right. Well, I was having a day I was supposed to be having a day. Well, I did have a day looking after Robert from Kidderminster, but I was like relieving James. And he messaged me saying, "You're supposed to be here now. What are you doing?" I was like, I forgot the ding. I said it knowing there was a ding, but I forgot the ding. Yeah. And I was like, I just thought I'd start soldering. I've never done it before. So I just thought I'd have a go now when I was supposed to be looking after his dad because he had to do something else. So that was one stupid thing. And then the other stupid things are just doing stuff for the charity when I should be working or doing work stuff, but over and over and over and over again. The same task.
Yeah.
Is that the same task because you got it wrong or the same task because...
I didn't like it. It wasn't good enough.
Yeah. This is part of the fear of failure, perfectionism, procrastination problem that a lot of people with ADHD have. So people go, fear of failure is good for you. It drives you. But actually, in the vast majority of people, it forces them to not develop because they keep repeating a pattern and they're never happy with it. So they never actually, learn new skills. It stops them starting new things. It's really, really famous.
Ah, right. So I'm famous.
Well, people at the talk were walking past. People at the talks were walking past you and me, saying, "Oh, look, it's Mrs ADHD."
No, they
weren't. They were. I was stood next to you and people were saying, "Look, it's Mrs ADHD." Not one fucker said, "Oh, look, there's whatever I'm called." I can't remember. Anyway, Alex, what stupid thing have you been doing?
I always think this question is a really hard one because I don't have a memory for things, and I'm not sure I'm never sure what I'm supposed to be doing. So, and because I consult in mental health and neurodiversity, so I should be able to say this, but it does feel slightly self-destructive to say I wasn't doing the thing that pays for my food and shelter to many tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people. That would be true though. So not that in favour of, literally like fucking Sudoku or something. I don't know.
Well, you showed us the games that you play. It's not
Sudoku.
Yeah,
it looked really good.
It's Wordle. It's Worldle.
Global,
World. Global. Four sets of Wordle at the same time.
Geography, guessing the countries.
And like some really hardcore maths little equations I have to reorder.
He does this for fun.
Yeah, no, I get that though.
Thank you. I'm well normal.
Does anybody want to ask me what I've been doing?
Oh God, sorry.
Sam, shall we move on or shall we ask James? Go on, tell us. We do like it, but because of your face.
Yeah, of course.
More fun to ask. Come on, what you've been doing that's stupid?
The main thing is arguing on TikTok. When we put a post up a couple of weeks ago, we shared on all the platforms, kind of rebutting a small clip from an interview by Gabor Mate, where he said ADHD isn't genetic; it's caused by parents being stressed, and that stress makes children tune out, which is utter bollocks. And I shared that video on Instagram, and almost everybody accepted it and said, "Thank you for saying this." But then TikTok seems to be a different place, and quite a few people started saying you're talking rubbish. It is stress. It's not genetic. But one person in particular said about the video, it's too simplistic comparing Finland to America. So I obviously answered. And after a short while, it turned into them. After a short while, it turned into them saying, you don't know what genetics are. Now, I'm a
I got that as well.
and biomedical scientist, and I then actually pretty calmly started explaining what a gene is, that a gene normally codes for a protein, although there are non-coding genes, and that protein then does a thing in the body. And if the gene is mutated, the protein looks or acts a bit different or doesn't get made, etc. And this person then said, that's not a gene. Down syndrome is a gene. And I know, but instead of I actually said very calmly, kind of, I'm not sure you understand genetics, and I'm not trying to kind of speak down to you, but that's a genetic syndrome that involves a chromosome. It's not a gene. And this went on for ages until I had to say late at night, listen, I'm really sorry, I'm exhausted, I'm caring for my dad. Can we please pick this up at another time? And they very lovingly said, yes, of course, I'm so sorry. And then at 5:30 the next morning, there was another message continuing what in their eyes was clearly an argument about whether what a gene is and what genetics are.
Yeah. The huge question here is, what the fuck were you doing getting into that conversation?
I know, he does it all the time.
If they just said, I disagree with this, I think it's all environmental, then I would have said, it's fine to have that opinion, but don't tell other people. There's strong evidence that environment is kind of involved, but it's genetic in most people, or the risk.
You've understood my question, James. The question
No, I know.
What the fuck?
I know, but I can't. The problem is because people read comments on TikTok and like them. So some of the comments on some of our videos, particularly the one that we've got 500,000 views of Sam forgetting she had a cake in her hand and saying, "Where's my cake?" Yeah, and I've got ones bearing my soul that have got 300 views, for fuck's sake. Yeah, but people like some of the comments. So on that video, there's someone that said something, "Oh, I do this all the time," 600 likes. So someone might read this comment, and it's about trying to stop the spread of misinformation. And on TikTok, 50% of the information.
Oh, that's coming back.
Yeah.
On the ticker.
I fucking hate you too. 50% of the information on ADHD on Twitter is misinforming or incorrect, etc. And therefore, I saw it because now I've obviously disengaged as kind of my quest to just try and stop that. Fuck off, Alex. Stop that misinformation. So that was what I was doing. I was arguing on TikTok. Anyway, thank God that nicely takes us to a break. In part 2, we're going to answer some questions from the ADHD Adult UK community. See you then.
See you then.
No, you don't do that.
Alex, hi.
Aight. What's up? Hello, Governor. Jesus already.
Welcome back to episode 63 of the ADHD Adults podcast. Our extra special umptieth Thursday, but not last week because of James' episode, where we're talking about...
Oh my God, we can't let that go.
Okay.
I'm calm. I'm being the bigger man, and I am technically the bigger man. Taller
you
than
are.
Alex.
Really
I'm
massive.
letting that. I am letting that go because I'm being the bigger man. Anyway, Alex.
Wow.
Continue.
I don't know if I can.
6'2" or something.
Yes, you can. I am 6'2". Yeah. Anyway,
where we're discussing the podcast last time, questions from the community. This is that bit always in part 2 on a Thursday. We take questions from the Discord community. James, how do people contact Discord? How do they get on that? What is it even? Is it like Ticker?
You make one mistake, and this is going to haunt me for as long as this podcast goes. So about 3 weeks. So Discord is our Discord. Don't build him up. Discord is our community channel. It's an app you can download on your phone or on your laptop. You can find the link to it on all of our social media has a link, but you can also search for it now because we have enough people. So once you sign up on Discord, if you search for the ADHD Adults, you'll find our platform. There's lots of different channels, geographical channels, subject channels. So you can just pick the ones you want to be part of. And it is very much a chaotic squirrel rave.
Okay, shush now, James.
Fucking jeez.
It's such a trigger for you, that, isn't it? I wish people should all watch the video to see your face when I shush him. It's like I've stabbed him with a knife.
Right, carry on. I can't talk.
One of the questions from Discord we got this week was from Nixter, who said, how hard is it to travel in Europe with medication? Have you ever had any issues of it or know anyone that has? I'm going to Italy in a couple of weeks and I'm a little apprehensive as I speak very little Italian. Let's just talk about legal. If you've accidentally smuggled anything, we're not going to be discussing that in case this is ever goes online to hundreds of thousands of people.
Sorry, accidentally smuggled anything.
Oh, I have. Oh, God, I keep like all sorts of stuff I find in my bag from a different time. Yes, accidentally smuggled a knife. No one's even checked to get to the other side. It's a fucking great knife.
Did they still have the blood on, or had you cleaned it off?
We didn't burn him. So, Sam, have you ever had to declare medication going abroad?
I thought you were going to ask me if I'd ever smuggled something then, which I absolutely have.
Obviously.
I don't know.
No, the answer is
have
no.
I ever had to take No. Carry on.
Okay.
No, since she's it's not very long that Mrs ADHD's been on medication, and because of my crippling social anxiety and the fact that the last 5 times we've been abroad I've ended up with suicidal ideation, she hasn't had the chance yet, Al.
Yeah, the last 2 trips have been cancelled.
Yeah, I haven't, and I have been to countries where I think you probably would have to declare any amphetamine-based drugs or any stimulant-based drugs. So normally that's the Far East. So I've been to a few countries there, but I wasn't on medication then. By yourself?
Yeah, no, it's a really really good question. And remember, we're not the British consulate. It's really important to go on the government website and have a look. There's a list of countries that tell you exactly what you have to do. I travel obviously a lot within Europe, and in general, it's a really good idea to have your prescription, just photocopy one of them so people can see. And I would advise, from what I've read, and this isn't gospel, to not have more than a month of your medication without contacting them, letting them know first. I travel everywhere with my speed or methamphetamine in my hand luggage, and no one has ever mentioned it. But then I'm the kind of guy that they don't pick up in customs because of the paleness of face.
You said methamphetamine, not methylphenidate, or. So you take crystal meth. You take crystal meth when you go traveling around Europe.
In your hand.
Sorry, Liz.
Lisdexamphetamine.
Yeah, lisdexamphetamine. So that is the wrong thing. My methylphenidate is in a sock right up my arm. I can't. That's so removed from my personality.
Right, we'll move on to the next question. We'll move on to the next question, which is from Sutherland, and this is
Kiefer.
What do we?
Donald.
What do we? I'm sure, and I can actually tell by your faces that you two really enjoy this, don't you?
I was just thinking, I love this
so much. He hates it.
God, it's no wonder people think I'm the grumpy one, the monster, because I'm now getting ganged up on it. I'm not a monstrous. I'm a targeted victim. Yes. So, what do we think about telling our employers about having ADHD? I have an option to register a self-certified disability with my work. I probably won't use it until I start titration, but should I mention it at all? Considering that I kept quiet about it when I was being interviewed. If yes, how should I categorize ADHD? Quite a long question. The options that could apply are 1, cognitive impairment, B, general learning disability, 3rd, mental health condition or difficulty, or other type of disability. Did you change the letters on this, Alex, or was that him? Because it's brilliant that it goes 1B, Delta, Z, social communication impairment, last specific learning disability. Alex, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I've got a bit of boring psycho ed to say, so I do apologise about this. The first answer is it depends on your social power. But before I say that, it depends also what you do for a living. There are jobs that you are not allowed to do if you take the drugs that we take, and some of them, if you have a formal diagnosis, they will discuss it with you, such as commercial airline pilot and some jobs in the army. So Yeah, that's that's a really, really tricky one to answer. Look that up. Whatever job you do, if you do like what we do, a normal job that doesn't affect anyone in any way, teaching, then I would say that I avoided it for so long, and it was a mistake. I'm looking through the lens again as someone with perceived social and cultural capital, so it depends. However, what I will say is that whatever people tell you, including sometimes the NHS, the Department of Education, and loads of other twats, ADHD is not a learning disability. It's not a specific learning difficulty. It is a problem with learning. That's not what an SLD means. If anybody tells you it is, ask them this. Oh, right. What can't ADHD people learn specifically then? Because that's what that means. But what? So
shut up in your case.
Yeah, I tell people I have either a general learning disability or, more preferably, a mental health disability or condition. That's what I always say because it's accurate. Yeah. Sam, what about you? What do you tell people, and what do you say?
It's really hard because I don't really tell people.
You haven't? Have you declared it yet? Have you declared it yet, Sam?
No. I mean, she doesn't need to, does she?
No. Chapeau, Alex. Chapeau.
I haven't officially declared it at work. No. Sorry, I could say a lot more, but I don't want to.
And don't, Sam, because it's impulsive too.
Yeah, exactly. And I have done this before.
Fuck me.
Sorry.
James can't.
Obviously, I can't.
Go on.
I was just going to actually. This is.
Sorry, I was just shushing myself.
Can we? Oh yeah, yourself. Can we just call this episode "James Gets Ganged Up On" or something?
Oh, ding!
Fuck's sake. Slightly a sex tape.
I certainly can't.
What I was going to say was actually tipping the cap, maybe ding, I don't know, to Alex's gag about me being a vampire, because I set the lighting to make me look like I've got a suntan, so I don't look as pale as you two. But he's never noticed that. But I just noticed actually, Jesus, I'm not normally that tanned, and that's because it's the lighting. Okay, carrying on the question, what I would say is, if you get past that decision point of, can I have this job with ADHD and my meds, and then this is a very personal decision for you. If you feel comfortable and safe in declaring it, there are several benefits. The first is you have protection, legal protection under the 2010 Equalities Act. If your disability, and it's classed as a disability, if it impairs your ability to work normally in rabbit ears, then you have protection. They can't just sack you. They can't just stop you getting promoted. They would have to explain what that is for. They can't just do it. Equally, they have to make reasonable adjustments to give you a fair chance of being successful at your job. That could be a different computer, flexible working hours, noise cancelling headphones, etc. Second thing is that there is power in saying to somebody, I can't do that, I've got ADHD. It's not an excuse, it's a reason. And therefore, when people ask you to do something, so let's say they phone you up and you're, I don't know, you're not in an office, you're working somewhere else, and they say, I've got 3 things I need you to do. It's okay to say, can you email that to me? Because I'm not going to remember those 3 things. I haven't got a pen and paper here. And people will hopefully then realize that they can't, expect you to have working memory all of a sudden. They can't expect you to be able to focus on some tasks if they're particularly monotonous. And then the last thing I'll say is, of those lists, personally, I would say other type of disability. It is classed as a disability under the 2010 Equalities Act if it impairs your ability to work. Sam,
do you want to do those things? Sorry.
Yeah.
No, I still do those things. So I'll say, oh, can you email me that? Because I'll forget. I don't say it's because of ADHD, but I just go, I'm really forgetful. So if you could just email me.
Can I not challenge that, but add something to that? One of the things that you have really struggled with until you were medicated was that fear of getting sacked because you felt you weren't doing any work.
Yeah.
Would that fear in any way be allayed if you knew that they just couldn't do that? Not that simply anyway, if they knew you had a disability. If you had, if you'd lost one of your legs and your job involved, this is similar to an example Alex gave in the week, really poorly, obviously, at the talk that he shambolically shoehorned himself into. If you just had one leg, for example, or you were in any way physically disabled, anyway, more physically disabled than you are, for example, and you went to work and you worked on the 7th floor and there wasn't a lift, then you wouldn't not tell them and somehow try and crawl up the stairs. You'd say, I need you to
would,
provide.
actually.
Yeah,
Yes,
Sam
yeah, you
definitely
probably
would. If you go,
would,
"Oh, I'm so
wouldn't
sorry, I'm really shit at walking," wouldn't you?
Yeah, but the analogy is somewhat valid in that they would say, well, yeah, you're right. Actually, we need to put a ramp on the first floor so you can get up to the lift.
I know. I feel
listen,
really uncomfortable because I feel like I'm pointing out that. Oh
Yeah.
you might suspect that I'm shit. I actually am at
Right,
walking.
but you're not shit at walking. You have
They've put a barrier in your
a
way.
slightly reduced inability to walk in this way. There is a barrier. So it's interesting that you're happy to say to people in an email, I can't do that, or verbally, I can't do that, which is saying you've got ADHD, but not kind of to officially declare it. I'm not trying to force you. It genuinely is a personal choice. And I think people have to make that personal choice. We've got support on the website, a guide for employees and employers, which we'll try and update, etc. Alex's hand is up, yes.
Just because we've already done a podcast on it, and what that is, Sam, is internalized stigma. So because we face that stigma of we're shit, we think it ourselves. So instead of saying, "Oh, I've got a disorder that means I can't do that, I can do other things," we say, "I'm shit." And it's the language that is really unhealthy for us. So change. Change.
All right,
Sam is objectively shit, though, isn't she? Objectively.
That
Anyway,
a joke, you know.
Yes. If we could, I feel like I'm trying to herd or corral like a team of ferrets on a farm somewhere.
Oh, we're doing well there now.
I'll try and move it forward. So the third question, Sam, have you got the script in front of you or not?
Yes.
Short on this.
Do you want to read the third question?
This one's from Alex from Bavaria. He says, what do you prefer? ADHD, person with ADHD, person who is ADHD, or something else?
Alex from Bavaria. That's,
Yeah.
I mean,
actually, I just wrote that is literally just true. It's not a joke. I really want to know because I'm writing something for.
Oh, it's actually you.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, how many other Alexes from Bavaria listen to our podcast, Sam?
There must be a few.
There are, I know a few. So
called Alex from Bavaria, who listens to the podcast.
No, obviously not.
Yeah. So
I don't know. People, sorry, James, just to put some context.
Yeah.
You don't say a person with autism because it's for a lot of people who are autistic. That's a bit offensive. So autistic people is what all the autistic societies recommend. But I think you do say person with ADHD, and for me, I'm absolutely fine with it. I just wondered if that was consensus. What about you?
What I would say is you pick whatever you fucking want and be. So I'm pragmatic in that if I'm typing a post in a rush, and I hate this phrase, I say ADHD because it's quicker. If I'm not, I dictate a lot of the stuff that I write and then just change all the typos because even Apple dictates a bit shit. So if I'm dictating, I will say person with ADHD or adult with ADHD. But if I'm really in a pinch, I'll say ADHD just because it's quick. But I think for people with ADHD, and this goes back to the whole strengths, superpowers, whatever it is, you define your ADHD however you fucking want. If you want to say I'm a person with ADHD, I'm a person who is ADHD, I am ADHD, I've got ADHD, I'm an ADHD, they're all fine because language shouldn't be policed at a personal level. That's my thoughts. Samantha?
No, I think that's fair enough. I think I don't really care.
We're hearing this a lot, you know. I think that might be an idea. Honestly, I put it on the Discord and that was what most people said. I'm gonna shit,
really?
Yeah. Do you think you're overthinking it, Alex from Bavaria?
No, because words are really important and how you describe somebody else's, and that's what I'm doing here when I'm writing. I'm describing somebody else's lived experience. And I wouldn't want to use something that
ask them then.
All of them.
It's all of them.
But he can't. But he kind of did. I mean, he kind of has. I know we've got a unique, maybe community in Discord. But if
you wouldn't be able to resist that.
Ding. So you have asked in a way, and people said, "I don't care." It's an N equals whatever it is. Anyway, just to try and keep pushing things forward. We'll take a break now, and in part 3, no, it's okay. I wasn't criticizing. I was just, but in doing that, see, you've dragged things out even more.
I'm sorry.
Okay. In part 3,
Sorry
we'll
about
give
that.
out fucking.
I love the
In.
glee in Alex's face.
You're married to me, for better or
I
worse.
wish.
Largely worse, let's be honest.
Yeah.
I wish. Okay, in part 3, we'll give thoughts on this week's theme and podcast. See you in a bit. Welcome back to part 3 of episode 63 of the ADHD Adults podcast, where we are going to just quickly expand on the theme. So, what made you choose the last idea for a theme? In my case, it was being lonely and socially isolated. Alex, what about you?
It's just, I mean, it's one of the most dangerous things for a human to face, apart from tigers. It's
Specifically.
so bad. Yeah, so it's so bad for our physical and mental health.
Yeah.
Like genuinely can lead to death. And ADHD people face it more on average than the general population, who face it a lot. And so I think just fundamentally important. And it was a lovely request from a couple of members of the community.
Yeah, it was.
Samantha?
I didn't choose it.
Okay, well, at least talk about it for 30 seconds for fuck's
Oh,
sake.
right. Okay. Well, I thought about it. Sorry. I thought about it actually after we recorded the last one. And I don't remember what I said in the last ones, but it is something that I really struggle with. I do feel lonely a lot. And I felt really lonely this week. And it's because I don't reach out. It isn't because I haven't got people there. I've got you there. I've got Alex there. I've got some friends as well. And I think I don't reach out because it's partly masking. I mask all the time and I want to appear to be this happy, person that isn't lonely with lots of friends and whatever, and also low self-esteem. I don't want to burden people with my problems, so I don't reach out because I don't want to, especially because I'm such a shit friend and I don't keep in, I don't communicate with my friends very well. So then I don't want to reach out all of a sudden after 6 months and go, I'm feeling suicidal today. So yeah, that's it.
Fab. I just quickly say that I won't say that because it's really mean and people already think I'm a monster. So just to finish off then, when I was going to say that that projection that you have, the happy Sam, engaging Sam, you never bring it home. So what? No. Everyone else gets
you don't
fun
deserve
Sam.
it, James.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's fair enough.
Maybe be a trigger for that.
I didn't think of that, Al. Never thought of that like every day.
And also, can I add that I've just realised when I asked why did you choose this question to Sam, and we give Sam zero editorial power in this podcast, so it was a silly question to ask.
That's the best way to be, though.
It
I've
is.
ruined it enough.
Okay,
so
final thing is.
Oh, you ask. Even though it says Alex on the script.
It doesn't, but it's in blue. But Alex is blue, I'm red, Sam's green. It's just that you two have been so monumentally shit in this podcast. I feel like I'm chairing a meeting that 3-year-olds are attending, and I'm having to say, little Alex, no, little Alex, put the toy down, and little Sam, just if you could, okay.
Stop
so
being
I'm
lonely.
just trying to push it. Yeah, so Alex, fire away.
So the last thing we always ask on this is there anything when you gave a tip or a thought from the last episode that you forgot to say? There wasn't really a lot from me because I'm really lucky not to be in that position. But the only thing was that the tips we gave are particularly uneasy to do when you're feeling lonely or you're self-isolated. And so it's that superpower thing, isn't it? If you're thinking, well, I can't do that because of the thing, that's okay. And the acceptance of that is okay. If you do need to be under the duvet for a bit, that's fine. There will be, by definition, a time of the day that you feel worse. And therefore, logically, there'll be a time of the day where you feel best, even if that's still shit. And so try and identify when that is. If there's just a spark of hope or any energy, use that time to reach out or that time to make that one small change. But it's hard, and that's not worth beating yourself up about. What about you, Jim Bob?
I haven't been called that. That's what everyone used to call me. I was only James, as we said, when I started academia. What I would say is this is kind of a tip for other people, not for people who are lonely or isolated. When I've been at my worst, what's got me through is there's 3 people, I'm not going to name them, who message me every day, every single day, through different media saying, just morning, how are you? And that, because when you, like you say, when you're lonely and you just feel like you've got nothing, that is massive. So this isn't so much for lonely or isolated people. This is for the people that, and if you are genuinely isolated, that there may not be that many, but keep tabs on your friends. Just send them messages. And it is difficult when you've got ADHD. But if you suspect particularly that one of your ADHD friends is struggling a bit, always say, I don't expect a response, but just wanted to say hi. And that's fine, because then you're taking the onus off them. But sometimes just knowing that somebody messages you can make you feel less lonely. Sam, what about you?
Definitely.
Yeah, I was going to say this is pointless, as all my tips are. But
I thought you meant the podcast.
I was just going to say that this is all pointless. But when I do reach out, so eventually I spoke to you, James, and said I was feeling suicidal the other day, and after you do speak to it, after I did speak to it, I felt better. So and it's really, really hard, and actually you can't. This is awful, because I was going to say you will feel better if you do reach out, but you can't when you're feeling lonely and desperate and all.
You did, didn't you? So
I did eventually.
Not beat yourself up for waiting. It is what it is.
Yeah. Reach out when you can, even if it's after the fact.
Yeah.
That'll do, wouldn't it?
Should put that on one. We should put that on Ticker. It'd be popular.
I'm off. See you.
See you later. Go on now.
I love that James has actually left. That was episode 63 of the ADHD Adults, and it was the first ever, fifth maybe, Thursday extra edition of the ADHD Adults podcast. He's literally gone. That's amazing. After Monday's episode on ADHD and loneliness and self-isolation. If you like this nonsense, and I'm going to bet a lot of money you don't, and want to get involved, contact us on the socials, at the ADHD Adults, wherever you get your socials, Twitter, Facebook, MySpace, Instagram, Discord particularly, or the Ticker. Discord is a really great place to get involved with other people. We met, didn't we, Sam? People in Meet Space this week who we knew and were friends with from Discord, and it's wonderful because you've already got that connection and you don't have to mask as much, and that was lovely. Have a brilliant rest of your day, Sam. Ta-ra a bit.
Bye.
Bye, James. Bye, all.
Bye.
Trigger warning, klaxon, 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 big klaxon. Trigger warning, klaxon, 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 klaxon. Trigger warning, klaxon, 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 klaxon.